Now, 80, Pattie Boyd is finally telling it like it is about the life she used to lead in the shadow of fame. For decades, she was regarded as the stunning muse of two of rock music's most iconic men, her looks etched in the eternally popular song Something and Layla. But behind the glamour, romance, and utterly seeming fairy tale existence was one far more sinister than the world ever knew. In her own terms, the tale is no longer inspirational. It's a tale of betrayal, humiliation, and suffering. Pattie Boyd's path started many miles from the bright lights of London's rock world. She was born Patricia Ann Boyd on March 17, 1944, in Somerset, England, the eldest of four children in a household defined by turmoil and upheaval. Her father's service in the Royal Air Force moved the family to Nairobi, Kenya, before her parents' divorce in 1952. Her mother married again shortly after, returning the children to England. By the early 1960s, Boyd was a troubled teenager in London looking for her place in the world. She first worked as a shampoo girl for Elizabeth Arden's salon, a humdrum start that was turned around when the assistant to a photographer was struck by her remarkable features. Before long, Pattie was covering Elle, Vogue, and Vanity Fair. With her big eyes, flowing locks, and fine features, she soon became one of the iconic faces of the swinging 60s. Designers such as Ossie Clark even christened collections after her, and her bohemian but fashionable sense created the mood for an entire period. But Boyd's fame did not stop at fashion. In 1964, she played a schoolgirl in A Hard Day's Night, the Beatles' first feature film. It was a tiny role, but it forever changed her life. During filming, she met George Harrison, the Beatles' unassuming and introspective lead guitarist. Their attraction was instant, and by January 21, 1966, the two were married. Harrison adored her, penning unforgettable songs like Something and For You Blue in her honor. Frank Sinatra even declared Something the greatest love song of the last 50 years. Yet beneath the romantic surface, cracks began to form. Harrison's growing obsession with Indian spirituality and his eventual infidelities left Boyd feeling increasingly isolated. She had quit modeling at his insistence, intending to develop their marriage, but found herself stuck in the position of the little wife at home. That need for affection and affirmation would soon lead her into the circle of another man, George's best friend, Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton had initially met Pattie Boyd in the mid-1960s when both socialized within the same high-end circles of London's fashion and rock aristocracy. Clapton was by then gaining a name as one of the finest guitarists of his era. Having already played with the Yardbirds and John Mayall's Bluesbreakers, his unparalleled virtuosity acquired him the slow hand tag. In 1966, he co-founded rock's first supergroup, Cream, whose heavy blues style propelled him to international fame. But while Clapton's professional career soared, his personal life was plagued by an all-consuming obsession. Despite his close friendship with George Harrison, Clapton had fallen hopelessly in love with Boyd. His feelings were hardly a secret among his inner circle. Friends recalled how he spoke endlessly about her, tormented by the fact that she was married to his closest friend. By 1969, his torment spilled out in writing. Boyd had an anonymous letter signed only by the first letter E. It was full of despair and desperation. For nothing more than past pleasures, I would give up my family, my God, and my own life. If you desire me, take me. I am yours. If you don't desire me, then shatter the spell that holds me captive. Years afterward, Boyd confessed that the letter shook her to her very foundations. The vehemency of his words left her both gratified and disturbed, yet she was faithful to George, confiding all in him. Clapton's misery only intensified. His love, unreturned, took its expression in music, the result being his 1970 masterpiece, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. Based on the 12th century Persian story of Layla and Majnun, Clapton expressed his passion and anguish in Layla, a raw, emotional outpouring for the love of Boyd. For Clapton, the song was a love declaration and a salvation plea. Boyd eventually confessed the song shattered her willpower. The realization that I had inspired such passion and creativity, the song got the better of me. I could resist no longer. With her marriage to Harrison already disintegrating from infidelity and distance by the early 1970s, Boyd began to weaken. Clapton's zealous passion became unstoppable, laying the groundwork for one of rock's most notorious love triangles. The marriage of Boyd and Harrison was breaking down by the early 1970s. What had been a fairy tale relationship in the warm glow of Beatlemania was dismantled by infidelity, inattention, and divergent lifestyles. Harrison's increasing passion for Eastern spirituality, which had once united them, became an impediment. Long periods of time in India with the Hare Krishna movement made Boyd feel invisible and abandoned. To add insult, Harrison's playful flirting turned into open affairs. The worst of all betrayals was when Boyd found out about his affair with Maureen Starkey, the wife of Ringo Starr. She remembered feeling humiliated discovering Maureen at Friar Park, Harrison's estate, sprawling on a mattress comfortably, while George swept the scene aside with indifference. It was the breaking point, a wound she admitted never fully healed. Meanwhile, Clapton's pursuit grew bolder. In 1970, he directly confronted Harrison, declaring, "I have to tell you, man, I'm in love with your wife." It was an extraordinary moment, one guitar legend confessing his love for another's wife. Harrison, known for his quiet humor, reacted with resignation and sarcasm, as though acknowledging a truth he could not fight. Their competition even translated into music. Actor John Hurt later recalled a volatile guitar duel at Friar Park where the two men employed their guitars to express their jealousy, anger, and frustration. Although Boyd claimed the anecdote was exaggerated, she acknowledged the emotions were genuine. They were boy men. Any annoyance, anger, or irritation from George only really came out when he was playing guitar with Eric. By 1974, Boyd couldn't take it anymore. Her marriage had fallen apart through neglect and betrayal, and she departed from Harrison that year, bringing an end to almost a decade as the wife of a Beatle. Freedom did not, however, bring tranquility. It gave way to a fresh storm. In its path, waiting for her, was Eric Clapton, whose devotion was unshakable, but whose devils were soon to consume them both. When Boyd eventually broke up with Harrison, it was only a matter of time before she and Clapton got together. He had courted her for years, dedicated his music and his proclamations to her. In 1977, when she was finally divorced, they started dating openly. They married on March 27, 1979, in Tucson, Arizona, with George Harrison himself present and joking that Clapton was his husband. To everyone outside, this strange arrangement looked like friendship that had overcome betrayal. Briefly, Boyd and Clapton's marriage appeared as the final chapter of a long and fiery love affair. But things were far from being romantic. Clapton continued to be trapped in his struggles with drugs and alcohol. Though he had broken free of heroin dependency, alcoholism became the next addiction, inducing unpredictable behavior and brutal mood swings. Boyd lived in perpetual uncertainty, caught up in yet another cycle of emotional agony. To their agony, they also faced the battle of infertility. Hungry for children, they resorted to IVF treatments, which failed every time, leaving Boyd humiliated and grief-stricken. As she suffered this unspoken sorrow, Clapton betrayed her in the most brutal manner imaginable. In 1985, Boyd found that Clapton had a daughter named Ruth with studio manager Yvonne Kelly. The betrayal was crushing, exacerbated by the knowledge that she was going through the pangs of unsuccessful fertility treatment at the time. A year later, Clapton fathered another child, Connor, with Italian actress Lori Del Santo, still married to Boyd. For Pattie, it was akin to a dagger through the heart. She would subsequently confess that she was humiliated by fate. As she battled to conceive, Clapton was fathering children with other women. By the mid-1980s, their marriage had disintegrated under the load of addiction, betrayal, and shattered dreams. She departed from him in 1987, and their divorce was final in 1989. In retrospect, she confessed, "I had lost my sense of self. I was no longer Mrs. Famous George or Mrs. Famous Eric. Who was I? I was no one." Following her divorce from Clapton, Boyd had the formidable task of rediscovering who she was. For more than 20 years, she had existed as the wife of a Beatle and muse of a guitar god, both acclaimed and infrequently glimpsed